Welcome to another episode of It Takes a Viking, Season 5, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni and Friends Community. My name is Mike Mitchell, Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Salem State. Very excited to welcome the new chair of the Salem State University Board of Trustees, a graduate from the class of 1998 from the Bertillon School of Business, Chair Samanda Morales. Chair, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. And yourself?
I am not too bad at all. We are very excited to meet you. You are the first sitting trustee that we've ever had on the show, first chair of the trustees that we've ever had at the show, and we are very excited to share your story today.
I'm honored to be here.
So the first question I always like to ask everyone that joins us is, what brought you to Salem State and how did you end up here?
Well, it's an interesting story, so I'm going to try to summarize in a couple of minutes. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. I came to the States in 1991 as a sophomore in high school. I went to Malden High School, and Spanish is actually my first language. So when it came time to apply to schools, I wasn't accepted in any of the schools I applied other than two. Salem State was one of them because I did really well during my school years, but my SAT scores were not really good. And Salem State has the summer bridge program that where students can come on campus and take like a 9-week program to prepare the students for the fall. And that's how I ended up in Salem. And it changed my life.
Ever since. So you studied in the business school while you were here. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what life after the business school looked like for you. You graduated in 98. Take us through kind of some years after that and where Salem State's career preparation and education took you.
Sure. Yeah. So as you said, I have a business major degree, and Salem State gave me the opportunity to apply for an internship at State Street Global Advisors. They were actually on campus when I was a junior. I applied for the internship, and I did so well that they asked me to come back as a full-time employee after I graduated.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, so that's how I started at State Street as a mutual fund custody analyst, and I stayed there for 4 years. From there, I went to Bank of New York Mellon, and where I worked for 19 years in the accounting department. And I credit Salem State for the work and the resources and tools they provided through the program, but also all the faculties and the staff.
And after your time with State Street, BNY, now you've kind of branched into your own entrepreneurial ventures as well. You want to talk about those a little bit?
Sure. So in 2019, I had a kind of like an epiphany that, okay, what do I do next? And I knew that I wanted to do something different. And that something different meant to impact individuals in a very positive way. So I wanted to take my experience as growing up without any kind of financial resources or understanding of the financial system, coupled with everything that I have learned professionally in the field, and how do I put those two things together to empower others to do the same thing I did? So we all know that financial literacy is very important. And my husband and I actually launched a nonprofit called Ahora Inc., which empowers individuals with financial literacy and financial coaching. And then now I also do financial planning and investment management for individuals that work hard but may not necessarily have the assets to go to an investment manager and or have their own financial planner. So,
and understanding that some of those other advisors and managers say you need to have a certain amount of money in play before Correct. We'll talk to you.
Yes.
So you're helping some of those folks who may not be there potentially get there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. And that, I think, was kind of, when your conversations about joining the board of trustees had started to come around, I had started to learn a little bit more about you, and those were kind of the first things that I had learned, was that your commitment to, probably to an extent, some of those communities that you may have come from, that some of our students have come from as well, and understanding that, as President Keenan likes to quote Horace Mann, saying education is a great equalizer, right? Really kind of starting to give back to students and families that come from the communities that we serve the most. And so that was what led me to learn more about you, and then learn that you were joining the board of trustees. And now you serve as the chair of the board, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
What does the process look like? How does it even begin for you to be considered to be a trustee and then be appointed to the board after that?
I didn't even know trustee was a thing. Like, as a student, you see a face of Salem State that you don't get to see after you graduate and then you come back.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was approached by President Keenan, when he asked me if I was interested to serve as a trustee, I didn't even have to think about it twice. I didn't even think about the implications that it meant to be a trustee or the responsibilities. I just knew that I just wanted to give back to the organization that empowered me with the education, the resources that I needed to be successful in the workforce. Yeah, so President Keenan approached me and he asked me if I was willing to serve, and I said yes. And then a request is sent to the state, where the state approves your nomination and registration. And then the state goes through a background process of basically you have to disclose everything when it comes to even finance or any criminal actions or anything that may be on your records that can jeopardize or taint the way you make decisions when you're a trustee. As a trustee, your fiduciary responsibility with the institution. So I guess they want individuals that they know that they can basically rely on ensuring that the organization is well taken care of.
So no conflict of interest possibilities, nepotism, liabilities, anything
Correct.
like that. Okay. And so now you're in the role as the chair. Very excited that you are chair, and then vice chair this year is Trustee Jim Lampasi, class of '81. I wanted to help identify that because Jim's process to the board as the alumni trustee is a little bit different than the typical one, in that the Alumni Association and Foundation plays the role in the selection of that one individual chair, whereas your kind of appointment to the board came in a somewhat different way, I guess the more traditional route that the other 7 trustees would go through, or 6 trustees, with the exception of the student trustee being the other opportunity. So, so now you've been on the board for a few years, but I think one of the things that I admire about you the most and appreciate you is that, you know, as you just said, when the opportunity to give back to the institution was presented to you, you took it head on and hit the ground running. And I think the first kind of experience that I had with you is that you have been a judge for the business schools pitch contest, the Viking pitch contest, I think since its inception. I don't know if you did the virtual one or not.
I did the virtual.
Okay,
yeah.
So the 3 that we've had in person, you've been a gracious judge in with, I know Elliot Katzman has joined in the past, and Dino has as well. Both folks that have stayed very connected to the institution as well. What is it about that event specifically that you enjoy doing every year?
My God, I loved it. So I'm a Shark Tank fan.
Okay.
So I watch Shark Tank all the time.
I love that show.
Me too. So when I was asked by Dean Remender Luther if I was willing to be a judge, I was like, yes. So I went to and watched my reruns of Shark Tanks. And I was like, what are the questions that I should be asking? But I'm an entrepreneur now and a business owner, and I believe in entrepreneurship and owning your business. So when I saw the students participate and put all the energy in putting this presentation together and a concept together, I was inspired by every single one of them. And when I was asked to do it again, I didn't even hesitate to say yes. I enjoy it. I think it's that the creativity, the energy, and the motivation, and the when all these ideas come together, it's something that I enjoyed, and it inspires me.
And I think one of the things, I've seen it a few years now as well, and I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about it, to your point, is that, you know, at some of our private sister institutions in the area, typically those students have a means that they don't have to worry about jobs or taking care of family or anything like that. So they can commit to being fully invested in that project and that program, whereas our students typically have other things that they're worried about outside of that, and they still put on some pretty good presentations.
Absolutely.
Some well thought out ideas, some very unique ideas as well, which as a person who doesn't live in the entrepreneurship space, most of them to me, I go,
where did
nobody
you
ever
come
thought
from
about that before. So,
but the process and all of the people, faculties and staff that are involved in that process, from helping the students put the presentation together, helping the student how to present the idea and answer questions. It's not the opportunity just to present, but also the skills that you gained during the process is so valuable that they're going to take on after they leave Salem State.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight that the process begins at the beginning of the spring semester, and the pitches don't actually happen until April. Right. So it's not like it's a submit and then you present the next week. And the other piece that I enjoy a great deal about it is that I think the first year they did it, they had, I think, maybe a dozen applicants from student body, and then it was 16 or 17. And last year they had almost 50 total applicants, and
Yes.
then the final pool was whittled down to 8. And so I think,
And it's going to be bigger next time.
and it's going to be even bigger, right? And the thing that I loved about this year specifically was that this was the first one that I can remember where it wasn't just business students in the contest. There was chemistry and biology students. There were some healthcare studies students. There was an occupational therapy student. And so it's growing across campus, not just within the business school. And I think the business school specifically loves that that's happening too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as we talk about the new school year, you're the new chair of the board. I also, the new school year has brought a change in your personal life as well, where you're a first-time college mom, sending your oldest off to college.
I know,
for the
it's
first time.
so surreal. I have an 18-year-old and he's a freshman in college, and I actually get to experience as a parent the process of application and applying to schools and submitting essays and the anxiety that the whole process brings, not just to students but also to parents. So now I get to take that personal experience and think about our parents and potential parents of those students, what they go through and what they face, especially when it comes to financial aid and how am I going to pay, my first semester and my 4-year degree. So it's definitely an adjustment, and I get to experience that personally.
And I was going to say, personally, I mean, I couldn't think of any better conduit to your role as the chair of the board to say, how is our institution best serving our students? Having gone through it yourself now.
Exactly. Yes.
So very excited to have you on the board this year. The last thing I'd like to ask you now is, we've kind of enveloped your time as a student, your time as a professional. Now you're giving back to the institution through your talent and your time and your resources. We've been a member of the community now for a little while, since you graduated in '98. What does being a member of this community mean to you, kind of at the large scale level, when you think about Salem State? What do you think of?
I didn't really understand what it meant to be a member of the community till I came back. And as a student, you go through your 4 years and you're focused on getting good grades and passing those classes and doing your homework, and then working at the same time. I worked as a part-time at TJ Maxx in Swampscott while I was going to school. So you're very involved in your day-to-day and ensuring that you pass your classes and you graduate. And then you move on to your first job and you're trying to add value and prove yourself as a professional and grow in that area. But then when I came back as a trustee and I was involved more in Salem State through my nonprofit and my company, now as a trustee, is to seeing all the students and the staff and the faculty and the energy that everyone puts in the day-to-day to ensure that Salem State is a successful institution, not just for the students, but the community at large. Then for me to see myself in that community, it was very rewarding to be part of something, to be part of a community that has the same goals and desires that I have, which is to empower the next generation. And so it's very rewarding, and it's good to be part of a community that embraces a lot of the things that I believe in.
Chair Samanda Morales. Another great episode of It Takes a Viking, Season 5. If before we let you go, if folks want to learn more about your companies, where could they find you online?
You can Google my name, Samanda Morales, and you'll find my 2 companies there. So the nonprofit is called ahoramoney.org.
Okay.
And then my private company is called wealthing360.com.
Very good. And we'll link to those in the post that we share this, and you should see it at the bottom of your screen now. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Ahead. We are grateful to you for your time. And we're very excited to see you in that chair for this year.
Thank you.
And many years to come.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, I'm Mike Mitchell, Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Salem State. Thanks for watching.